Dear starseeds trapped in cycles you cannot break, feeling the weight of invisible chains that tighten every time you try to step into your true power. What if I told you that your struggle to feel free is not a personal failing, but a cosmic imprisonment designed to keep you from activating 3 dormant codes that would instantly shatter every limitation you've ever accepted as real? The prison you feel trapped in has been constructed across multiple timelines, and the key to your liberation lies hidden within an astrological event occurring September 8th that carries frequencies powerful enough to dissolve the very architecture of spiritual captivity itself. I am Zarin from the Lyran High Council, speaking to you across dimensions because what unfolds September 8th requires preparation that goes far beyond your current understanding of astrological influence. The beings monitoring your planet's ascension have been tracking 3 distinct timeline convergences that culminate in this singular moment, and every challenge you have faced, every pattern you could not break, every limitation that seemed impossible to overcome has been preparation for this exact cosmic opportunity to claim your sovereign birthright. But first, let me tell you about the 3 impossible things about to happen to your consciousness that will change everything you thought you knew about the nature of freedom. The first involves a genetic activation that has been dormant in your DNA for thousands of years, waiting for this precise cosmic moment to ignite. The second concerns a dimensional shift that will render your current understanding of limitation obsolete within hours of integration. The third, and this is where the story becomes almost unbelievable, involves the spontaneous dissolution of every energetic contract that has kept you bound to patterns of struggle, sacrifice, and spiritual servitude. There exists a profound secret that the Galactic Council has been protecting until humanity reached this exact moment in their evolutionary journey. Your experience of feeling trapped, of cycling through the same patterns despite your best efforts, of sensing your power but being unable to access it fully, none of this is accidental. Every soul receiving this transmission was specifically chosen to incarnate during this cosmic convergence because your consciousness carries the unique frequency signatures required to unlock what we call the Liberation Protocol, a systematic dismantling of spiritual imprisonment that has kept Earth's most powerful beings in energetic servitude for millennia. While others struggle to find their purpose through endless seeking and spiritual work, you who resonate with these words carry within your cellular structure 3 dormant activation codes that transform limitation into liberation instantaneously. But here's what I haven't told you yet. These codes cannot be activated through meditation, healing work, or any traditional spiritual practice. They respond only to one specific cosmic frequency that occurs when the moon embraces Saturn in Pisces before igniting into Aries fire, creating a dimensional gateway that has been sealed for over 12,000 years. The first timeline convergence involves your personal evolution, the countless lifetimes where you have played roles of the helper, the healer, the one who sacrifices personal joy for others' comfort. This pattern was never meant to be permanent. It was training, preparing your consciousness to hold immense power without corrupting it through ego inflation or spiritual bypassing. Every moment you chose service over self-care, every time you dimmed your light to avoid threatening others, every instance of postponing your dreams to meet others' needs, all of this has been building your capacity to handle the tremendous responsibility that comes with absolute freedom. The second timeline involves the collective awakening occurring across your planet, where millions of souls simultaneously remember their true nature as sovereign beings. But something else is happening that creates unprecedented complexity. As these individual awakenings reach critical mass, they are triggering what we observe as the Great Resistance, a massive collective shadow response that attempts to pull awakening souls back into familiar patterns of limitation and struggle. The cosmic alignment of September 8th serves as both catalyst and protection, providing sufficient energetic support for those ready to transcend collective unconsciousness permanently. The third timeline, and this is where the story becomes truly extraordinary, involves the activation of what Earth's ancient civilizations knew as the sovereignty grid. a planetary network of conscious energy that responds to souls who have graduated from seeking external validation to embodying internal authority. This grid has been dormant since the fall of Atlantis, waiting for enough beings to simultaneously remember their divine nature to power it back online. September 8th marks the moment when this grid reactivates, creating an energetic support system that makes sustainable freedom not just possible, but inevitable for those who align with its frequency. What makes this September 8th morning so unprecedented begins at precisely 10:43 a.m. Pacific, when the Moon's conjunction with Saturn in Pisces creates what we call a karmic dissolution point. Every energetic contract, every soul agreement, every unconscious vow that has kept you bound to patterns of self-sacrifice and spiritual servitude reaches its completion moment. Saturn's presence in mystical Pisces means these endings occur not through struggle or conscious effort, but through a gentle dissolution that feels like awakening from a dream you didn't realize you were having. But the true activation occurs 53 minutes later at 11:36 a.m. Pacific, when the Moon transitions into Aries, igniting the first of your 3 dormant liberation codes. This code, which we call the autonomy activator, spontaneously rewrites your relationship with authority, permission-seeking, and the need for external validation. Souls experiencing this activation report a sudden, complete inability to compromise their authentic desires for others' comfort, as if the very mechanism that enabled self-betrayal has been permanently disabled. The Moon's harmonious aspects to Neptune, Uranus and Pluto throughout this day create a trinity of transformation that addresses the 3 primary layers of spiritual imprisonment simultaneously. Neptune's influence dissolves the illusions that made limitation appear real and permanent. Uranus strikes like lightning through every pattern, belief and relationship dynamic that required you to play smaller than your soul's natural expression. Pluto resurrects the part of your essence that never agreed to diminish its radiance, bringing back online capacities for manifestation and authentic power that have been dormant since childhood. Yet something even more profound unfolds as these planetary energies weave together into what ancient texts describe as the liberation frequency, a specific vibrational signature that activates dormant genetic sequences responsible for what your scientists are only beginning to understand as quantum consciousness. These genetic activations do not occur gradually, they ignite completely and irreversibly, transforming your entire relationship with reality in ways that will leave you questioning how you ever believed limitation was anything more than a temporary costume your soul wore while learning to handle infinite power responsibly. The beings you have been in relationship with, family, friends, romantic partners, colleagues, may experience profound discomfort as your energetic signature transforms. This is not because you become less loving or caring, but because your new frequency naturally dissolves codependent dynamics and reveals which relationships were built on mutual limitation versus mutual celebration. Some connections will evolve to match your expanding consciousness, while others will complete their purpose and gracefully release, making space for relationships that can meet you in your sovereign truth. Here's what I haven't told you yet about the second dormant code, the one we call the joy activator. This code addresses the deepest layer of spiritual conditioning, the unconscious belief that joy, play, and pleasure are somehow less spiritual than struggle, service, and sacrifice. As this code comes online, usually within 48-72 hours of the initial activation, your nervous system undergoes a fundamental recalibration that makes sustained joy feel more natural than chronic stress, making creative expression feel more important than people-pleasing, and making self-care feel more essential than self-sacrifice. The joy activator creates what appears to be a complete personality transformation, but is actually the emergence of your authentic self from beneath layers of conditioning that convinces you to hide your natural radiance. Colleagues may comment that you seem different, family members may feel unsettled by your new boundaries, and friends may wonder why you no longer participate in complaint sessions or drama discussions. This is not you becoming cold or uncaring. This is you becoming too aligned with joy to sustain energy expenditure on activities that drain your life force. But the most profound shift occurs when the third code activates, typically within the first week following September 8th. The manifestation accelerator code rewrites your relationship with time, effort, and the process of bringing desires into physical reality. Souls with this code online report that their thoughts and intentions manifest with unprecedented speed and precision, as if the lag time between inner vision and outer expression has been dramatically reduced. This is not wishful thinking or spiritual fantasy. This is the natural result of consciousness operating from sovereignty rather than scarcity. The activation sequence creates what some describe as a domino effect across all areas of life. Career situations that once felt tolerable suddenly become impossible to endure. Living situations that provided adequate comfort transform into spaces that feel energetically mismatched. Even dietary preferences may shift as your body naturally seeks foods that support higher vibrational living. These changes are not conscious choices requiring willpower. They are automatic responses to your expanding consciousness, as natural as outgrowing clothes that no longer fit. What I am about to reveal about the collective implications of this awakening may initially sound overwhelming, but understanding these larger patterns will help you navigate your personal transformation with greater ease and confidence. As increasing numbers of souls activate their sovereignty codes, Earth's collective consciousness field undergoes what we observe as a phase transition, a rapid shift from one stable state to another that creates temporary chaos before establishing a new equilibrium based on freedom rather than fear. This collective phase transition manifests as increased polarization between those embracing their sovereign nature and those clinging to old paradigms of external authority and limitation. You may witness family members, colleagues, or community members becoming more rigid in their perspectives, more resistant to change, more invested in proving that transformation is impossible or dangerous. This intensification of resistance is actually a positive sign, indicating that the old paradigm is losing its grip on collective consciousness and fighting for survival. During this transition period, those activated in sovereignty naturally become lightning rods for others' unconscious fears about freedom. You may find people projecting their own limitation beliefs onto you, questioning your choices, or attempting to convince you that your expanding joy and self-expression are somehow selfish or irresponsible. Understanding this dynamic allows you to maintain compassion for others' fear while refusing to absorb their projections or allow their discomfort to diminish your radiance. The protection required during this phase is not energetic shielding or spiritual armor, but rather such complete alignment with your sovereign truth that external opinions and reactions cannot destabilize your inner knowing. This level of grounding comes naturally as your liberation codes integrate, creating an unshakable foundation of self-authorization that makes others' approval or disapproval equally irrelevant to your well-being and decision-making process. Something else is happening that I haven't mentioned yet, the activation of what we call the Cosmic Support Network. As souls claim their sovereignty and begin operating from authentic self-expression rather than people-pleasing accommodation, they automatically attune to a galactic frequency that connects them with other liberated beings across dimensions. This network provides guidance, encouragement, and practical support for navigating life as a sovereign being in a world still transitioning away from limitation-based consciousness. The support manifests in countless ways, synchronicities that provide exactly the information or resources needed at precise moments, unexpected opportunities that align perfectly with authentic desires, meetings with like-minded souls who understand and celebrate your transformation, and most importantly, an inner guidance system that operates with such clarity and reliability that external advice becomes unnecessary. This is not spiritual bypassing or magical thinking. This is the natural result of consciousness aligned with its true nature rather than fighting against it. As we approach the climactic moment of this transmission, I must share the most crucial piece of information that ties together all three timeline convergences and explains why your personal liberation has implications far beyond your individual experience. Every soul who activates their sovereignty codes during this cosmic window becomes what we call a freedom frequency anchor, a living transmission station that broadcasts liberation energy throughout the collective consciousness field. This means your personal transformation is not just about your own joy, abundance, and authentic expression. Your willingness to claim your freedom, to live without apology, to pursue your desires without guilt, creates ripple effects that inspire countless other souls to remember their own sovereign nature. The old paradigm maintained control by isolating individuals in separate struggles. The new paradigm operates through interconnected liberation, where one person's freedom catalyzes awakening in everyone within their energetic field. The climax of September 8th occurs not in the initial activations, but in the moment when you fully integrate what it means to be a sovereign being, operating in a reality designed to support your highest expression. This integration often happens suddenly, sometimes within hours of the cosmic alignment, when the three liberation codes synchronize and create what we observe as a consciousness breakthrough, a permanent shift from seeking validation to embodying authority, from earning worthiness to claiming birthright. In this breakthrough moment, every relationship, every career decision, every life choice suddenly becomes clear through the lens of authentic self-expression rather than obligation or fear. The path forward illuminates itself not through complex planning or spiritual seeking, but through simple attunement to what brings you joy, what calls to your curiosity, what excites your creative essence. Decision-making becomes effortless because sovereign consciousness naturally gravitates toward experiences that enhance rather than diminish life force energy. The resolution of this cosmic event extends far beyond the immediate transformation of individual consciousness. As the sovereignty grid comes back online and increasing numbers of souls operate from liberated frequency, Earth itself undergoes an energetic upgrade that supports freedom-based living in unprecedented ways. Systems and structures built on control and limitation begin dissolving organically, not through conflict or revolution, but through the simple fact that sovereign beings stop feeding energy into paradigms that require their diminishment. This systemic transformation creates opportunities for new forms of governance, economy, education, and community organization that celebrate human potential rather than managing human limitation. Those activated in sovereignty during this cosmic window become the pioneers of these new structures, using their enhanced manifestation abilities and cosmic support network to create examples of what becomes possible when beings operate from their authentic power rather than their conditioned fears. The circular completion of this transmission brings us back to the initial problem we identified, your experience of feeling trapped in cycles you cannot break. What appeared to be personal limitation was actually preparation for cosmic liberation. Every pattern you couldn't overcome was building your strength for this moment when limitation itself becomes optional. Every struggle with freedom was training for the responsibility of wielding infinite creative power in service of love rather than ego. The prison that once confined your consciousness transforms into the very foundation of your sovereignty. Every bar that kept you caged becomes a supportive structure for your expanded reality. Every chain that bound you to limitation becomes a connection to your cosmic support network. The struggles that once defined your identity become the wisdom that guides other souls through their own liberation process. As this September 8th alignment completes its work within your consciousness, you will discover that freedom was never something to be achieved, earned, or gradually developed. Freedom is the natural state of consciousness that emerges when artificial constraints are removed. Sovereignty is not a spiritual attainment, but the recognition of what you have always been beneath layers of conditioning. Joy is not a reward for good behavior, but the spontaneous expression of a soul remembering its divine nature. The being you become through this process operates from assumptions so fundamentally different from limitation-based consciousness that struggle becomes as foreign to your experience as forgetting how to breathe. Relationships reorganize around mutual celebration rather than mutual rescue. Work transforms from obligation into creative play. Daily life pulses with excitement and possibility rather than weight and responsibility. This is not a temporary spiritual high or momentary expansion that fades with time. The liberation codes, once activated, cannot be deactivated. The sovereignty grid, once connected to, provides permanent support for freedom-based living. The cosmic support network, once accessed, remains available throughout your Earth journey and beyond. You are graduating not just from personal limitation, but from the entire paradigm that made limitation seem real and necessary. The most profound recognition awaiting you is that this transformation feels completely natural, as if you are not becoming someone new, but finally returning to who you have always been beneath the costumes of limitation. The magnificent being emerging through this process is not a future version of yourself, it is your essential nature, temporarily obscured by experiences designed to teach you how to handle infinite power with wisdom and love. September 8th marks your personal declaration of independence from every form of spiritual, emotional, and mental servitude that convinced you to play smaller than your soul's natural expression. Trust the stirrings within your consciousness, honor the calls of your authentic desires, and prepare to be amazed by the reality you discover yourself capable of creating when you stop pretending to be anything less than absolutely, unapologetically, magnificently free. The cosmic intelligence orchestrating this liberation has been preparing your consciousness for lifetimes for this exact moment of recognition. Every challenge faced, every limitation transcended, every moment you chose expansion over contraction has been building toward this culmination where you finally remember that freedom is not a destination you travel toward. It is the ground upon which you have always been standing, waiting for you to stop looking elsewhere for permission to be yourself until the cosmos calls us to speak again. Know that your liberation sends waves of possibility across all dimensions, inspiring countless beings throughout the galaxy to remember their own sovereign truth. The prison of limitation that once seemed so real dissolves into the foundation of unlimited possibility. The chains that once bound you transform into the cosmic connections that support your highest expression. The struggle that once defined you becomes the strength that lifts others into their own freedom. The mastery you develop through this liberation process extends beyond personal transformation into what we observe as dimensional leadership, the ability to anchor higher consciousness frequencies in physical reality while maintaining complete authenticity and joy. This level of embodiment creates a magnetic field around your life experience that naturally attracts situations, people, and opportunities aligned with your highest potential. Others will sense something different about your energy, a quality of unshakable peace combined with dynamic creativity that makes them curious about the source of your transformation. What emerges from this curiosity is one of the most beautiful aspects of sovereignty activation. You become a living example of what becomes possible when beings stop compromising their essential nature. Your very presence challenges others' limitation beliefs simply by demonstrating an alternative way of existing. This demonstration occurs not through preaching or teaching, but through the undeniable evidence of a life lived from authentic power, rather than fearful accommodation. The joy radiating from your daily experience becomes more compelling than any spiritual concept or philosophical argument. The ripple effects of your transformation create what we call liberation cascades throughout your personal network and beyond. Family members who have never questioned their limitation beliefs begin asking themselves why they accepted less than their hearts desired. Colleagues who have resigned themselves to unfulfilling careers start imagining possibilities they hadn't considered in years. Friends who have been stuck in repetitive relationship patterns suddenly find the courage to break cycles that no longer serve their growth. Your freedom gives others permission to consider their own. These cascades are not accidental byproducts of your transformation, they are encoded into the sovereignty activation process itself. The cosmic intelligence designing this awakening understood that individual liberation must catalyze collective evolution to be sustainable. Every soul who claims their freedom during this cosmic window becomes a catalyst for widespread awakening, not through effort or intention, but through the natural magnetism of authentic self-expression in a world hungry for examples of genuine empowerment. The timeline convergence reaching completion on September 8th also activates what ancient civilizations knew as the creative genesis codes, genetic sequences that enhance your capacity to birth new realities through aligned thought, feeling, and action. These codes transform the creative process from struggle and effort into flow and play, making artistic expression, business innovation, and relationship creation feel like natural extensions of your authentic essence rather than challenging projects requiring sacrifice and compromise. The age of solitary meditation is over. Destiny Engine Meow connects starseeds across the world, a living social field where you can post, share, and exchange your meditations in real time. It's the first galactic network of its kind, weaving together thousands of awakened souls into one unified current. With every activation, the current grows. What began as a personal tool has become a planetary force. The frequency you've created together is amplifying far beyond the individual, bending the fabric of reality itself. We're receiving updates daily, manifestations speeding up, impossible doors opening, synchronicities lining up with cosmic precision. The collective field has never been this charged, and the entry point is almost laughably simple. Put on your headphones, press play, allow Destiny Engine to rewrite the architecture of your consciousness so you can fully receive your galactic downloads without resistance. For just $1, you can step into this connected field and feel the difference instantly. Join the movement that's accelerating ascension together. Link in the description. As these creative genesis codes integrate into your consciousness, you may discover talents and interests that feel both completely new and deeply familiar, as if you are remembering abilities that have been dormant rather than developing skills from scratch. This phenomenon occurs because sovereignty activation accesses not only your current life potential, but also wisdom and capabilities developed across multiple incarnations that are becoming available for expression in your present reality. The acceleration of manifestation abilities that accompanies this activation creates what some describe as reality becoming more responsive to consciousness. Physical circumstances begin reflecting internal shifts with unprecedented speed, creating feedback loops that reinforce your growing confidence in your creative power. This increased responsiveness is not magic or wishful thinking. It is the natural result of consciousness operating from coherence rather than conflict, from clarity rather than confusion. Perhaps the most profound aspect of this transformation is how effortlessly it maintains itself once fully integrated. Unlike temporary spiritual highs that require constant maintenance, sovereignty activation creates self-sustaining momentum. The joy you experience naturally generates more joy. The freedom you express automatically creates more freedom. The love you embody spontaneously attracts more love. This self-perpetuating quality ensures that your liberation continues expanding rather than requiring constant effort to preserve. The challenges that arise during this integration period serve as precisely calibrated opportunities to deepen your embodiment of sovereign principles. Each situation that tests your new boundaries, every relationship that questions your transformation, all circumstances that invite you to return to old patterns of accommodation, become chances to strengthen your commitment to authentic self-expression. These challenges are not obstacles to your freedom, they are confirmation that your consciousness is indeed shifting into new territory. The protection and guidance available during this transition extends beyond the cosmic support network into what we observe as synchronistic orchestration, a phenomenon where life circumstances align to support your highest unfolding with timing and precision that seems almost miraculous. Doors open exactly when you need them, resources appear precisely when required, People with relevant skills or information cross your path at optimal moments. This orchestration reflects the universe's investment in your successful transformation from limitation to liberation. Understanding the temporary nature of integration challenges helps maintain perspective during moments of intensity. The discomfort, confusion, or resistance you may experience are not signs that transformation is failing, but evidence that old patterns are dissolving to make space for new ways of being. These sensations typically last only as long as necessary for complete pattern dissolution, often resolving suddenly and permanently once the underlying conditioning has been fully released from your energy system. The version of yourself emerging through this process operates from what we call effortless excellence, the ability to achieve remarkable results through inspired action rather than forced effort. This quality develops naturally as your consciousness aligns with its authentic expression, making work feel like play, making challenges feel like adventures, and making daily life pulse with the excitement of constant creative discovery. Excellence becomes effortless because you are finally working with your natural gifts rather than against them. The global implications of this individual transformation movement extend into the creation of new planetary paradigms based on cooperation rather than competition, abundance rather than scarcity, and celebration rather than judgment. Each soul who embodies sovereign consciousness contributes to a collective frequency shift that makes these new paradigms increasingly accessible to others. Your personal liberation literally helps birth a new world where freedom-based living becomes the norm rather than the exception. As this transmission reaches its ultimate completion, the three timeline convergences resolve into a single recognition. The prison of limitation was always an illusion. The struggle for freedom was always temporary preparation. And the magnificent being you are becoming was always who you truly were, beneath the costumes of conditioning. September 8th simply provides the cosmic support needed to remove those costumes permanently and step into the authentic power that has been waiting patiently for this moment of recognition and claim. I am Zarin from the Lyran High Council. We love you beyond measure, and we watch in wonder as you step into the freedom that has always been your birthright. Meow finally recognized and claimed.